this session. So let's start it, officially starts day 2, session 2, GIS data editing. So what does that mean by GIS data editing, and what you guys gonna do in this second session of today is that sort of like editing the geometry, right? So I want you guys envision this case, like, hey, I have like a land use map. Once again, the target audience of this training session is local planners. So that I was envisioning that, you know, the most common GIS data local planners gonna deal with is the land use or zoning data, right? So you have zoning data and land use data, and you want to update it. Let's say during this let's say general plan process, and your city decide to change some zones and some land use here and there, and you have GIS shapefile, then you want to update your GIS land use data to according to the general plan updates, right? So and so forth. So in that case, you want to, I don't know, you want to handle the geometry, the shapes of the polygon, for example, right? And then you want to change the shapes. Also, you want to not manipulate, you want to update the attribute table as well, so that you can make, how can I say, aligns the update of geometry as well as update of the element attribute table information, right? So that process is the we're going to exercise in this session, okay? So why don't we bring the data that we need for this exercise? So let me get rid of everything that I've done. I'm not in the session 1. I'm not interested in saving that. And let me add new map view. So that I can start a new project, map GIS project. So let's add data. Let me go to my geodatabase, right? So day 2 here, and under the day 2 data geodatabase, there is a session 2 feature data set, and in there I have like a Pasadena general plan data right there. So let's play with the Pasadena general plan data. Yeah, this is the general plan land use by land use by general plan of the city of Pasadena. So if I quickly change the symbology, so using unique value option, obviously I want to visualize the land use. So general plan land use. So that's what I want to play with, okay? So let me make a little transparency so you can see better. So let me zoom in to some area. It doesn't have to be, I mean, you don't have to be exactly what I'm doing, but let me zoom in an area, and so I can explain it to you guys, okay? So basically, as I said, what we're gonna do in this session is that first, we're gonna play with the geometry. So what does that mean by playing with the geometry is that, hey, we wanna modify this geometry, or we can add the geometry, or we can delete the geometry, and, you know, do whatever that you wanna do, okay? So for example, I want to, let's see this scenario. Let me check the land use type of this area. Let's say, oh, this is the open space. I mean, I don't like the color, pinkish color for the open space. Let's not worry about it. So this is open space, right? But oops, I forgot to include this area. This area, is open space as well, but I didn't add this area as an open space. So let me capture this area right here. And why don't I call it as an open space land use? Okay, everybody understand what what you're about to do? Good. Then obviously I have to draw the polygon to capture this area that I missed. How is that? You may want to go to this edit tab. Then you will see a bunch of options to draw something. So this is pretty much a drawing, right? So how I can capture this area with a sort of a new polygon, and I want to call it open space, is this. So I want you guys to click create button. Okay. Now you will see this create feature windows pops up, and you can select each individual items that you may want to work on. So for example, at this moment, I want to work on the new open space item. So if you click open space, for example, then you will have a bunch of sort of like a drawing options. Okay, so this is something we want to play with. So the default drawing option is a polygon drawing option. So you can draw a polygon by clicking here and there. So for example, if I select this polygon option, all I want to do is click, keep clicking and capturing the shapes that I missed, right? So all I want to do is just follow the borderline on the base map and just keep adding the vertices by clicking and capturing this area nicely like that, right? So for example, something like this. So here at the final clicking, and if you want to finish this drawing, you may want to double clicking. Then GIS will automatically finish the drawing, okay? So here, by clicking by adding the final vertex there, I want to finish my drawing. So in this case, I want to do the double clicking. Then GIS finishes drawing this polygon, and it automatically went to the land use type open space because we selected the open space option here. So you can see new polygon added, right? If you missed double clicking, so for example, I want to finish drawing right here. So you're supposed to, make a double clicking, but you didn't do that. So you just did a single clicking. Then you may want to hit the keyboard key F2, function 2 key. Then you can finish your drawing, okay? So, you don't have to redraw everything, even if you miss that double clicking option at the end. Everybody clear? Everybody had a chance to add one polygon? We good? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In my table of contents, I only have the Pasadena general plan as one color. I don't have the gen plan, land use, all these different categories you have. How do I get those?
You have to visualize it. See, remember that symbology option? I mean, I went a little quickly because we did this exercise earlier. So here, use the symbology option and select the unique value symbology method, which is this is the categorical data, right? And you may want to select general plan land use field that's the field that store land use classification. Okay?
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but I mean, I thought this is the exercise that we did it earlier, so I went a little fast. Okay? So everybody understand why I made a joke? You don't want to even blink your eye. You don't want to blink your eyes. I'm just kidding, okay?
I blinked.
All right, so I'm sorry, this is a joke, guys. It's a joke. So I hope you guys, everybody had one new polygon added there. That's how you guys are gonna draw, okay? And one thing that I wanna emphasize before I go further is that the work that you did here is not actually saved on your computer. Right now, the works that you did it here is saved on your memory of your computer. In other words, your power's out, so that your computer is shut down, and or you accidentally closed your GIS project as it is, that means you're gonna lose everything that you did. Okay, so the way that you wanna save your work permanently is that click this save button. Okay, click save. And when you ask this question, you want to say yes, then this save button will be grayed out. That means nothing is dangling in your memory and all your work is permanently saved in your hard drive. Okay? So my best recommendation is that you want to click that save button as frequently as possible. Okay? Nobody know what's gonna happen. Okay? So unless you click that save button, you're gonna lose your work. Back in my PhD study, I had a experience that I lost 1 week worth of work. Okay, I was devastated. It was a terrible experience. Simply, I forgot to click that button. Okay, so don't make the same mistake. Please, please, please make sure to save the button. You don't imagine how many excuses that I get from my students. Hey, though, I simply forgot to, click the save button and I lost my homework. Don't make that excuse, okay? So don't forget to click that button. All right, so if you guys understand how you guys be able to save your work, and let me point it out something called snapping. Is there any AutoCAD user in the room? I believe some of you guys using AutoCAD. This snapping option, right? If you guys use the AutoCAD, you know what I mean by something called snapping. Snapping, this terminology, I believe, also the functions comes from AutoCAD, okay? So what does that mean is that, for example, I want to draw something here, but I just want to make sure that what I'm drawing here is like kind of attached to this polygon, right? Then you guys are gonna use this snapping option. Right now, as you can see, I turn off the snapping option. So if I want to draw something here, nothing's gonna happen, right? But if I turn on the snapping option, And then if I draw something and if I move my cursor to the closer to here, then you see the annotation pops up and says that, hey, whatever you want to draw something will be attached to the vertex of this polygon, right? Everybody see that? So that when you guys utilize snapping option, so by sticking into this object, I can make sure that there's no gap in between this existing polygon and the polygon that I'm working on right now. Okay, so if I draw something like this, I mean, I am 100% sure there's no gap because I attach my drawing to this polygon using snapping option. Okay, so here and there, you may want to use your snapping option wisely so that you can make sure to remove the gap. Okay, so I mean, snapping option is very handy options. Allows you guys to make sure so that, the works that you're doing is, very, how can I say, there's no gaps or no overlaps. Okay, so you may want to use wisely. So then snapping option will help you a lot. And like snapping option, all those other tools and options and functions that I want to introduce to you guys from in this session will be the tools that help you to expedite your work. Okay, there's a lot of tools. Obviously, I'm not able to go over every single tools for you, but there's a tons of stuffs that you can take advantage of it. Also, tons of functions that help you to expedite your work. Also, help you to make your works more precise. Okay, so I want you guys to open your eyes. Also, it'll be a good idea for you to have thoughts like, I want to do something like this. Can I do that? If you guys have any question, like, let me know, then I can show you how to do so. Then that will, much more beneficial for you. I mean, once again, there's millions of different ways that you want to do something, and there's tools available. Obviously, I'm not able to show you all those tools, okay? So I want you to keep thinking of how can I do this or do that, okay? So one example is this. Obviously, when you draw something, let's say something like this polygon, I mean, as we did earlier, you can just keep clicking the vertices and you can, keep adding these vertices. Let's say, add the vertices. And then if you guys follow this curvish line by adding the vertices more and more, then obviously by adding more vertices, you can make a more smoother curve for sure, right? I mean, you can do this one, right? But another way is that you can actually toggle between straight line and the curved line. So here in this case, what I want to do is that I want to keep drawing a straight line but at the area that I want to draw the more curvish line, I want to switch it to the curvish line here option. So for example, the option, the bottom here is that, hey, I can draw the middle point of a curvish line and I can click on the end point of a curvish line, then I can simply draw a very smooth curvish line, and then I can going back to the straight line option, and I can continue straight line drawing, something like this, right? So once again, you can go back between the straight line and curve line, okay? And this option is like a 90-degree angle option. And what does that mean is that if you draw something like that, and if you go with a 90-degree angle option, then whichever way that you move your cursors, it'll guarantee 90-degree drawing. Okay, so that's the another sort of like a handy tools that you can take advantage of. Speaking of 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle is very important in many cases because many urban object is a 90-degree angle. So for example, building, when you guys capture buildings, and 90-degree is very important, but because almost every building is a 90-degree at the corner, right? And 90-degree angle is particularly important for the, let's say, software like SketchUp. If you guys are familiar with the SketchUp, I mean, if you don't get the 90-degree angle in the SketchUp, your drawing is going to be very complicated, right? So 90-degree angle is very important. If you want to superimpose the 90-degree angles, the easier way is that you can use this rectangular shape option. So in order to draw this rectangular shape of a building, you don't have to, click 4 times at the corner. All you want to do is just select this rectangular option and draw the one side of a building. And if you drag down or drag it, your cursor, then GIS will create a rectangular shape, guaranteeing, by guaranteeing 90-degree angle at the 4 corners, right? So that this is the rectangular option is better than the polygon drawing option when you capture the buildings with the 90-degree angle, for example, right? We good? Everybody? Everybody good?
I have a quick question, Dr.
Yeah.
Kim.
Yeah.
When I drew my polygon under open space, I didn't it showed up just as a like a dark polygon, not it doesn't show the open space or the pink color like your new polygons do.
Okay.
Is
But
there
color doesn't matter. Actually, this color that you see here is the color GIS randomly assigned. Okay? So color color is not very important. What's the important thing is that the polygon you draw here, the color of the polygon you draw here is matched with this open space color.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It should match open space. I have the same color, but it comes up as like
Different
black.
color?
Yeah.
That means you didn't select open space here in create feature windows.
I did.
You did it? If you did that, it should be automatically matched because,
Okay.
that's what it is. Another way to, double check is this. Why don't you open the attribute table of the layer?
Okay.
And why don't we scroll down all the way to the bottom of the table? The item on the bottom of the table is the new polygon you edited. Okay, so for example, in my case, not this one, but if you,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
here is this says open space,
Yes.
then that color must be matched. Then
Yeah.
that's the open space, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it highlights the new polygon, but it just wondering why uh comes up as a different color, even though yeah, it highlights that same polygon I just created under open space. But maybe I missed a step
No,
in
I
between.
don't think this is the step issues.
Yeah,
Can you share your screen?
sure. Yeah, here it is. So that's a new one, just similar to yours. And then it's highlighted, right? But then
Okay.
when you want me to clear the
Oh, I see. That's your actually the classification, the data visualization method is different from mine.
oh, okay,
So
okay,
here,
Okay.
So let me quickly fix it. Okay. So can you accept my request? Good. So what happened was that when you classify your entity here, you accidentally use the to field.
Okay.
So I found you had like a space shape area or something. That means that every single thing is unique. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
I change your classification method. Simply you classify this by the land use code or the land use
Okay.
classification.
Okay,
Okay?
got it. Thank you.
No problem. Start sharing. Okay, let me share my screen now. Everybody see my JS screen now? We're good?
Yes.
All right. All right, then here. Next exercise is something called auto-complete polygon tools. So this is what it is. I mean, as I show you, and when I explain it, when I explain it, snapping option is, snapping option is a good tool to allow you to avoid any data sort of gaps and so on and so forth, right? But I mean, snapping option is not so perfect. So for example, if I want to draw the polygon, let's say if I want to capture this area, for example, somewhere here, and if I want to make sure that there's no gap between this polygon, I mean, what I mean by that is that between this polygon and that one I want to draw here, if I want to make sure that there's no gap using snapping option, then I have to click on every single vertex here, right? So the vertex that I'm drawing here should be matched with this vertex on the curve perfectly. That way I can avoid any gaps or overlaps, okay? So snapping option is not a perfect tools for this case, okay? And this is particularly important. So I want you guys to think about this. When you guys, draw a property line, for example, everybody understand, what property line is, right? So if you guys want to draw a property line and, you don't want to have any gaps or, the overlap. So for example, hey, I want to draw the property line like this way, right? If you draw the property line, and if you want to draw another property right next, and if there is any gaps, any overlap like this, or any gaps like that, and that's a lawsuit case, right? And you messed up somebody's property, they're gonna sue you. You don't want to make this kind of mistake, right? So in that case, if you guys want to superimpose no gaps and no overlaps like that, then what's the good way is that we want to make sure that we can share the border here, right? If I want to make sure that I want to borrow the shapes of the border of this polygon, and I want to use that as a common border that's of the polygon that I'm going to draw next to, then that'll be perfect. So this option called autocomplete polygon tool is the one that's kind of guarantee, that sharing common board. In this case, let me demonstrate first for you guys, okay? Why don't you guys watch? You don't have to complete drawing the polygon. That's why the name of this tool is the autocomplete polygon tool. So what you're gonna do is that you wanna start drawing inside of this polygon and capture this, border that you want to share. So let me simply just draw the polygon, something like this, right? And if you finish your drawing inside this polygon, just double click it, something like this. Then GIS will do the calculation itself and adjust the shape of the polygon. And as you can see, I have a nice polygon. So this area, the borders between these two polygons will be shared by these two polygons. So there's absolutely no gap, no overlap, that you can make sure that this polygon is right next to this existing polygon, okay? So that's the tool called autocomplete polygon. So you wanna start drawing inside, go outside, capture whatever you wanna do, and coming into the polygon and finish your drawing, then GIS will do the rest of work and you will have a perfect polygon, okay? Good. Another tools that I wanna introduce is the tool called reshape tools. So for example, what's the good examples? Let me grab the examples so I can show you. Okay, so this building, I want to capture this building, for example, guys. And obviously, using this polygon tool, I can trace the building by clicking every corner and I can capture this building. But the actually faster ways and also some way that I can guarantee the 90-degree angle at the corner is that I'm not gonna worry about the details of the building shape. I simply wanna use these rectangular shape tools. I wanna capture this building, something like that. I just kind of ignore the details of building shape. I just wanna capture the building with this rectangular shape, okay? And then I want to, obviously I want to cut it out, this area, right? That's kind of area indented it. So I can use this tool called reshape tool. At the top of the windows, there's a reshape tools, right? Then, it's really slow, okay. With this reshape tool, all you want to do is draw this area that you want to get rid of. In this case, if you want to get rid of this indented area, you want to start drawing from outside of polygon, penetrate in, capture, and finish the drawing outside. Then GIS will cut it out, right? Did you see that? And also, same thing, if you draw outside of the polygon and capture this indentation and draw the outside, you got it. Okay? So, reshape tools help you to sort of like a little expedite the drawing over the details of the building, right? So another approach is this. Instead of drawing, this rectangular shape, not capturing entire building, but just portion of it. So here, I draw the rectangular shape like this, and I want to capture this part that's sticking out. Then I can use the same reshape tools. And in this case, on the other way around from the previous exercise, I want to start drawing inside and going out, capture that part sticking out, right? Then GIS will draw nicely, capture whatever I draw here, right? So important thing is that in this case is going inside to outside, and coming in, finishing the drawing. The detail of building to show through your get the details of building to show through your bigger rectangle. That's
I was
so.
wondering if it's just like it's not see-through enough. It's solid.
Oh,
Draw
okay.
it and then I can see.
So that's a transparency. So if you go to the feature layer tab, there's a where you can set up the transparency rates.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So everybody understand how reshape tool works, right? So you can pretty much add the details of the building, using reshape tool rather than just, clicking every single vertices at every single cone. Okay, that's a reshape tool. Merge tool is something like this. So for example, next tools that I want to introduce is the tools called merge. But let's say for example, I edited this polygon as you saw earlier. I edited a polygon here. And now, this is the, let me see. This is the open space, right? Obviously, I draw this under the open space. So this is open space, and this is what? R&D flex space. So I realized that, oh, oops, I made a mistake. This is not, the new polygon that I edited is not supposed to be open space. It should be R&D flex space. So I want to combine those two polygons together, and I want to make it Azure R&D flex space, right? Then I can use this merge tool. So first, before I select the merge tool, I want to select those two polygons together that I want to combine together. I mean, combine is the plain English expression, but the name of the tools to combine those two polygons in GIS is the merge. So I want to select these merge tools. Right? And then you see here, since I selected the two different polygons with the two different land use classification, you will see open space and R&D flex space here. And GIS will ask you, what do you want to preserve? So in this case, as I said, I want to preserve R&D flex space, right? In other words, I want to make open space. I want to change this open space to the R&D flex space, right? So that means I want to preserve R&D flex space. So I select the R&D flex space here, then preserve notification is moved to the R&D flex space. Then all you want to do is click the merge button. Then as you can see, two polygon become one polygon, and it is under the R&D flex space. That's why it shows the yellow color, right? So that's the merge tool. How you can utilize the merge tool. Is it clear, everybody? Good. And another tool that I want to introduce is the tool called split tool, right? So for example, I want to capture these properties, bunch of properties here, right? I mean, obviously, the way that I show you guys is that, oh yeah, I mean, don't tell me that I can draw the, let's say, for example, rectangular shape here, right? I can capture this property. And yeah, I just, once again, I don't want to get sued. So I don't want to have any gaps or overlaps or anything like that. So I want to use this autocomplete polygon tool so that I can draw, one by one, something like this. Then I can avoid any gaps or overlaps, right? Everybody understand? And you can just continue to do this, then you can capture all those properties, right? Yes, you can do that. But that's a fine, but there is a faster way than that. How I want to do this is this. I want to capture this entire area, multiple property with this rectangular options. So I want to capture this as a one property or one polygon. And then I want to chop it up quickly. So then if I cut it out, obviously there must be one border, there's no overlap and no gap, right? So after I capture this area with a one rectangular shape, I want to use these split tools. Then what I can do is that I can just simply draw the line where I want to split this polygon, right? So for example, I want to draw the border line from here to there. The important thing is that you have to penetrate the polygon all the way, right? If I click draw the border line, as you can see, GIS split or chop it up that polygon, right? So another thing is quickly, everybody understand what I'm doing? So if you just keep repeating this, it'll be faster than tracing property one by one, right? So as I told you earlier, there's a lot of tools that allowed you guys to expedite your work as well as make it your work precise. So, I mean, if you know all those tools, then, you can have your works more faster and more precise. As you can see here, there's a lot of tools and a lot of options. Obviously, I'm not able to show you guys every single tools and how every single tool works, but there's a lot of tools here and more tools. And what you need to do is you need to explore a little bit and you want to get used to those tools, then you can make your works much more accurate, precise, and fast, okay? And let me ask this question, guys. If you guys want to control on each polygon, in this case, right, each geometry, what is the ultimate way to manipulate the shapes of the polygon? Yeah, the edit vertices. What does that mean is that if you can access to each individual vertex that consists of or that compose this polygon, you have a full-blown control, right? So what does that mean is that, for example, hey, I want to manipulate the shape of this polygon entity right there, then you may want to select that polygon entity, and then you may want to select this edit vertices option. Then GIS will give you the access to every single vertices that compose that polygon. So you can move each vertices, or you can select the multiple vertices and you can move together, or you can add more vertices by right-clicking and add vertices. And as you can see, I add vertices I can move. I mean, I can keep doing that, right, to change the shape of the polygon. I can add vertices, or I can select the vertices and I can delete the vertices. So you have like a full-blown control on the geometry that you have. Okay, so let's say, for example, after you want a good example of how you guys are going to be able to utilize the edit vertices is that, hey, after you capture this, polygon, after you draw polygon and you found that, oh, I made a mistake, my polygon does not exactly align with the, shapes that I want to capture, then you don't have to redraw this polygon, right? So simply, capturing, moving the vertices little bit one by one, and you can capture precisely what you want to capture, right? So in this case, I didn't do a really good job earlier. Then what I want to do is that, I can move vertices, and here and there, you may want to add vertices, and you may want to make a little adjustment here and there so that you can make, perfect captures of what you want to capture, right? So that's the good example of how you can take advantage of this edit vertices option, right? So basically you can control on the polygon for whole 9 yards, okay? So that's the example of how you can use the edit vertices. So as I said, there's a lot of tools. I mean, I want you guys take advantage of a lot of tools. Okay, so the options are available. Anybody has any question about, oh, I want to do this and how can I do that? That kind of question before I move on to the next topic so that I can quickly show you any things that you want to do. No? Everybody good? Everybody happy with all those tools that I introduced? Good. All right, then what I wanna go over in the next like about 20 minutes or 18 minutes precise is attribute table size. Okay, so how to kind of like build your attribute table. I mean, building attribute table, we're gonna do the more exercise in this afternoon, but I just want to do sort of a brief introduction of attribute size. Okay, attribute table size. So for example, and let's say, why don't we open the attribute table first? So I want you guys to right click on the attribute table. Okay. And we have attribute table here. Obviously, you can build your database here in the attribute table. Okay. So for example, I mean, oh, I want to assign, there is like a land use description there, but I want to assign the 4-digit land use code there. Okay. So in other words, I want to create a new field called land use code, and I want to populate 4-digit land use code for each, land use type, right? You suggest turning on auto save edit. Okay. When you do any editing, I mean, there is like auto save options there. I mean, obviously it is a good idea to turn on the autosave option so that you're gonna prevent anything, any instance that you're gonna lose your work. But my approach, my personal preference is that click the save button as often as possible. Okay, so once again, it's totally up to you, right? And either you can take advantage of autosave options, right? But I'm a little control freak, so I prefer to click the save button as often as possible. Okay, and going back to the attribute table here, as I mentioned, and I want to add a new field here called land use code field. And then I want to populate this land use code field with some number, like a land use classification number, right? 1111 or 1210 or whatever the numbers that you guys are using, right? So for that, we want to add field here, right? So I want to think about this. I mean, you can keep building, keep adding the field here, and you can keep building your database, right? So here, the how to add new field is that you want to use this button called Add button. If your Add button is grayed out, that means you have something unsaved works dangling. So you may want to click Save button in the Edit tab. So you may want to think this way. This Add button and this Save button is mutually exclusive. If anything unsaved one, so that Save button is activated, then your Add button is grayed out. If your Add button is activated, that means you saved everything, so the Save button is grayed out. Okay, let's make sure that you understand that. So that's the mutually exclusive. So if your Add button here is not activated, I want you guys to make sure to save, click the Save button and save all those words that you have unsaved so far. Okay. When you actually create a field, there's a couple of things that you have in your mind, okay? A couple of things that you have to remember, basically. The first is that name of the field, when you guys type in the name of the field, you don't want to have like a space. So there is some characters that GIS does not like and does not accept as a character of the name of the field. So one good example is the space. You don't want to have space, okay? Also, the shapefile, when you created a field for the shapefile, you're not going to be able to have the characters more than 10 characters for the name of the field. I mean, that's why a lot of times when you guys download the data from some sources out there, and you may find a lot of name field is very abbreviated, okay? Because, for the shapefile. In the geodatabase, you have a little more flexibility, maximum 64 characters that you can use for the field name, right? So here, if you take a look at it, I have long name, general plan, underscore land use, which is more than 10 characters. That's totally possible because this is the feature class in a geodatabase. That's another advantage of a geodatabase, right? So let's create a field. Let's give it a try. Why don't you guys click add field button. Then you can give it a name of the field. Let's say, why don't we just call land use. land use code or something. Okay, so I can spell it out because it's a feature class in the GeoDatabase, so that I can use the more than 10 characters, right? As far as you don't go over 64 characters for the field name, then that's good. Okay. Another very, very, very important point is that you need to choose a data type. The reason why I emphasize this is that once you choose this data type, you cannot change it after you create a field. So you have to think very carefully and choose the data type that you want here. Also, GIS is very, very picky about the data type, particularly between text data and numeric data. Okay, so you gotta be super careful with data type that you want here, and you may want to choose it carefully. Otherwise, you guys gonna confuse a lot later. Okay, so how you guys are gonna be able to choose proper data type here? This is some information, okay, about what the features of the data type. So typically, how I decide my data type, I go through this decision tree process. First of all, is that data that you want to store in that field is text or number. Okay, you have to make this decision first. So if your data is the text data, you may want to choose this simply called text. Okay, so if that's the text data that you want to store, you want to select text data. Simple, right? If data that you want to store in that field is the numeric data, number, I don't want to, okay. Let me correct myself. It's a numeric data. Then you have to make a decision. Do you need decimal places or not? Decimal places. So the data that you want to store in that field, do you need to keep the decimal places or not? That you have to make a decision. If you need to keep the decimal places, yes or no, right? If you need to keep the decimal places, you want to choose either float or double. If you don't need to keep the decimal places, then you may want to choose either short or long. So for example, I want to store population data in this field. Population data does not need decimal places, then you can go either short or long. If you want to store, let's say, people per household, then decimal places may be important, right? 1.8 people per household versus 1.1 people per household. That's a totally two different number. So that you want to keep the decimal places, then you may want to go with either float or double. Okay? That's how I make my decision. Then what's the difference between float and double, or difference between short and long? Here. There's not much of differences. And short and the long is the data type can store even wide range of data. Okay? And double is the data type that can store wide range of data than float. Okay, so drawback actually is that, I mean, double is safer to choose because it can store much large data than float, but drawback of the double is that this data type will make your data size larger because this is the 8-bit data and float is only 4-bit data. Same thing, short is like only 2-bit data and long integer is like a 4-bit data. So there's differences, right? So I typically use a lot long and float in the case that I don't need my decimal places. Then I usually go with the long to be safe. And then float is a large enough to, the data type that cover large enough of data. So I usually use the long or float, and depending on situation, right? So I want you guys to remember that decision tree. The reason why I was earlier kind of took aback what I said is that I says the number, right? So let's say, oh, if you want to save the text value, you may want to go with the text option. If you want to save the number, then you may want to go with these options, different options. But actually, I don't want to use the terminology number because number can be a text data. GIS can read number, let's say, 1111 as a text. So I don't want you guys once again get confused by the cover of the book, right? The outlook of the data. I want you guys to clearly understand the features, right, of the data that you can choose the proper data type. So for example, going back to here, hey, I want to assign the 4-digit land use code as a number, then you may want to go with the long option or short. It is okay. In this case, even short is okay. So what I'm assuming is that only 4-digit numbers that I'm assuming that I want to go with the short data type. Then I want to click Save button up there. Then GIS will create the field, right? And then if you close your Windows, so as you can see, the new field called the land use codes typed in, right? Created, right? Then all you want to do is now you can type in here the number that you want to assign. Okay, high density residential 11, 11. 1111. That's high density residential. And I don't know, high mixed use 1640. Whatever number you type in here, then you can keep building your database, and by assigning land use code, you can expand your data sets, right? So after as I demonstrate here, you can just simply type in the numbers here, right? So here, open space, I have a bunch of open space. Let's say 3220 is my open space that I don't want to type one by one. I can simply copy, Control C, Control V, just keep doing Control V. Then I can copy and paste, the value to the same category quickly. So it'll expedite your work, right? So I mean that Control C, Control V, copy and paste is possible. Once again, when you guys type in this number here, your add field button grayed out, and in the edit tab, under the edit tab, the save button is activated, right? So like similar to the geometry work, whenever you guys make editing on the attribute table as well, you want to click the save button so that you can permanently save your work. Okay? Everybody clear? So you can keep building your database like by keep adding attribute table, and then you can keep building the database, right? Any kind of database, any kind of format you can add here, and that's how you guys are gonna manage or process GIS data, okay? At the geometry side, as well as your attribute table side. Good? Okay, everybody? Okay, so this is what I have for this morning, the second session. It's noon now. I'll let you guys